Alright, what's up guys? It's your boy, Casually Gaming, back again with a lightsworn deck profile. So I appreciate, anybody who's left a comment on the last Yu-Gi-Oh video. Appreciate it very much. But as always, if you guys do like content like this, hitting that subscribe button is a really, really big help to me and my channel. And if you like future content like this, subscribing to the channel is one way, or the biggest way, that you can let me know that you actually enjoy this kind of content. So, with that said, I'm going to hop right into it. This is not like your typical lightsworn deck. A lot of it is actually really in this deck. Majority of my deck is actually non-lightsworn cards, but you actually see the build. It's actually pretty interesting. You can literally combo it any which way that you want to. Of course, it just depends on your hand. And with this kind of build, you can literally go first or second, so it doesn't even matter. All right, so first big boss of the deck. Hopefully you guys can see that properly. Again, first big boss of the deck is going to be Judgment Dragon. So there's really not much to say about him. You just need four lightsworns with different names in the graveyard. You basically plop him on your field, and you pay 1,000. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Where that came from. But yeah, so you just need 4 lightsworns with different names in your graveyard, and you just plop this bad boy on the field. And pretty much just say, hey, I pay 1,000, blow you up, clear your field. Moving on from there, first main lightsworn I play is Felice. So basically, he has to be milled or basically just sent to the graveyard by a monster effect, not by just a card effect. I kind of wish he was just a card effect, because then you could just send him to the graveyard from your deck with literally anything. But it does make sense why they made him, be milled off of, like, his effect can only work off of other lightsworn effects, like being sent from the deck to the grave. Because majority of the time, when you're sending cards from the deck to the graveyard, majority of the time it will be by a lightsworn effect. So it does make sense why they just made it specifically to lightsworn, or just being milled by a monster effect as a whole. Because usually a lot of times with lightsworn decks, you actually want to not run as many spells. You majority want to run monsters for the most part. But but yeah, so if if you just have majority monsters, then you don't have to really worry about, like, oh, I milled this spell that I needed. So next up, I do run 2 lightsworn wolf. He can literally be sent to graveyard from deck to grave by anything, and his effect will activate. You don't really want to see him in your hand. Same thing with Felice. Felice Navidad. You don't want to see him in your hand. That's why you just run 2, just for names, really. Just for consistency of the deck. 3's too much. 3's a brick. 2 is just enough. Alright, so next up, I do run 3 of the lightsworn, limited lightsworn summoner. She is a major key player in the deck. You definitely want to run her at 3 at all times. There's no exceptions. Unless you only have 2, then run it at 2. But yeah, man, I mean, with that, like, really, there's really nothing much really to say with her either, because all she really does is you summon her out to the field. As long as you have another lightsworn target in your graveyard, you could discard 1 lightsworn from your hand, target 1 lightsworn level 4 or lower, special summon to your side of the field. So usually a lot of times you use her to go into your synchro plays, or to at least get your tuner to the field for the synchro plays. Along with that, I try to go back here, but Felice is actually also a tuner. Oh, yep, tuner, as you guys can see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do that behind the camera. But yeah, so you can actually just get Felice to the field, do your synchro plays that way, or if he's milled by a spell card effect or a track card effect, you pretty much would have to use her, discard one, bring him back. Another tuner of the deck is going to be Raiden. Normally I run him at 3, but I am running a kind of like a dragon package in the deck. So I had to make some sacrifices. He's not very necessary to run at 3, because mainly his effect is pretty good. Like you mill 2 upon summon. And what I mean by like upon summon, I mean like you can summon him out, activate his effect, and then pretty much just mill 2, and then whatever lightsworns he mills, I believe he gains what you call it, 200 attack. So if you mill 2, he gains 4, or if you only mill 2, then you know. Oh no, sorry. He only gains 200, and that's it. So even if you mill 2 lightsworns, he just gains a flat 200. Which makes him a 19 beater, which is okay. It's pretty decent, but you usually just do that just to try to get more names in the grave, so you can summon out Josen Dragon at a later time. And also, he's a tuner, so you just go into your synchro plays as well. Next up, I do play 2 of the Lila lightsworn sorceress. Basically, this deck does not like back row, so she is your MST of the deck, and also just another name. And of course, end phase is you need to get some mills off. She does mill 3 at the end phase. Okay, and the one-ofs of the deck, I do run 1 paladin and 1 monk, literally just for names. Monk is actually pretty cool though. She can attack a face down defense and literally just shuffle it back into your deck. It doesn't flip, it just damage calc, it just boop, just send it right back. Or I'm sorry, right before damage calc, my bad. But yeah, so before damage calculation, she just sends it back to your deck. Alright, so now getting into the non-lightsworn monsters of the deck. Sorry, just move this out of the way. I do run two Ultimate Time Lord, just for the simple fact that if you have 10 or more monsters in your graveyard, and it doesn't matter if they have different names or not, you could literally just plop this guy from your hand onto the field. I don't use him for his secondary effect, where if he is what you call it? Sorry, just double checking here. Okay, and then basically if he special summoned that way. Okay, and it says you can special summon 1 level 8 or higher fairy type monster from your hand or graveyard, and then his attack becomes 4,000. So I don't use it for that. I don't run any other fairies in here besides him. So it would be a. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but you know, I just didn't really have room. So. So next up for the I'm going into the dragon package here of the deck. I do run 2 of the galactic spiral dragon, just for the simple fact that 2 or more light or dark monsters, if I control them, if I control 2 more light or dark monsters, I can special summon this basically from my hand or graveyard in defense. if I control 2 or more light or dark monsters on my field. So majority of this deck is light, so this is actually very viable to help you go into your rank 8s. I run 1 rank 8 in the deck as of right now. But yeah, so I mean, he's very useful. He can also just be used as a wall. So if you have him in your graveyard, you mill him, and if you're in a situation where you need to build a wall, you could really just bring him back from your grave, as long as you control 2 lights or 2 darks on your field, or if you control 1 of each, that works too. If you control light and dark on the field, then you just all right, bring it back. So it works either way. All right, so next up, I do run 2 light ray Diablo. Basically, same thing. 5 or more light monsters in my graveyard, but this one specifically says with different names, so this one is kind of tricky at times. But it's definitely worth running it at 2. Oops, sorry, excuse me. Hopefully that didn't take it out of frame. All right, so. Okay. Yeah, so, and he does have a very useful effect where you can literally target any set card by banishing a light monster from your graveyard, target any set card on the field, and literally put it on top or bottom of the deck. So if you have a card where like your opponent can like for example, like this is like a really old card, but like Scrap Iron Scarecrow, it's a really old card. You're trying to attack your opponent, do some damage, and after Scrap Iron, and with Scrap Iron you can reset it. So you're okay. Well, I have him. I'm just gonna activate my effect, banish the light monster, put it on top of your deck, so you just constantly draw that same card. So yeah, I mean, it's a little good tactic to have. It definitely works against like Shaddols. Like if you have like certain Shaddol that's annoying. But I mean, I haven't seen Shaddols in a while, so I guess you wouldn't have to really worry about that. But that's just an example. All right, so next up, I do run 3 of the Chaos Dragon Levineer. Yet again, same thing. This is your banish package of the deck, kind of. You're banishing some lights and darks, getting some heavy beaters on the field. I do run 3 because I do have 2 different cards in the deck that lets me search the level 8 or higher dragon monsters from my deck to my hand. One's a monster form and the other one is a spell card. So, all right. And of course, like based off of him too as well, depending on what you banish. So if you banish only lights, you can special summon this card. You can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense. So if you banish only lights, you can actually bring back a tuner if you need to. If you banish like your lights and then you still want to go for a synchro play, you can bring back a light monster as well, or any monster that you need. So as you shuffle as you do darks, basically shuffle 1 random card your opponent's hand into the deck, shuffle it back into their deck, and then as you do both, basically you can target up to 2 cards on the field and destroy them. So that's pretty much what he does. And of course, to pretty much, I think, sum up my dragon package here, I do run Ray Eyes Darkness Metal. I do have, oh, I'm sorry. I do actually have another guy here. So I do have a, like, level 4 guy that I can use to, like, maybe banish for him. Or you could just, whatever one of these you already used up already, if you want to, you can actually just banish them out of play, get him back, and then he can just constantly just bring back your other dragons that, like, they're in your graveyard. If you already met their summoning conditions, you could just keep on recurring them to the field. And of course, last dragon. Sorry guys, I meant to do this first, but last was this Cipher, Star Leech Cipher. Yeah. So basically, this guy here, you You can either banish himself and add another dragon type monsters in your hand or your face up field. Or no, sorry, you send them, not banish them. You send them from your hand or face up field to the graveyard, and you add that level of dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Or you can have him in your graveyard, banish himself from the graveyard, and you just add one level 8 light or dark dragon from your grave to your hand. I'm sorry, from your grave to your hand. Yes, from your grave to your hand. So that's actually pretty cool. Next up, I do run basically, their banish package here. BOS. It is basically a light and dark deck. It's a chaos deck, pretty much. Can't run lightsworns without running this bad boy. Yeah, man. It has 2 wonderful effects. Pretty much he can attack twice. When attacking monsters, you trigger 1 monster, he has effect activates, he gains additional attack. Or you can banish 1 monster or just 1 card on the field. Problem card, just get rid of it. But the only downside to that is that I don't believe he can attack the same turn that he does that. No, he cannot. Okay. Getting to more non-lightsworn cards. I do run the one, sorry if I say this name wrong, if I butcher it. Was it Destrado? Sorry, Destrudo. I'm pretty sure I just said that right. Of course, he's like an extra tuner. He can revive himself in the graveyard. Usually by paying half for light points, and then you would just target one of the monsters on the field. His level gets reduced by that monster. So basically you could do 4 or 3, and then he becomes a level 4. Usually I try to go for 3, so I can synchro for 8. I do have a level 8 synchro in here that I use. I think I have like 2. So, next up, 2 of your Curry Bandits. Hopefully you guys can see this properly. And in my last video, my crap was like really like off center. I just didn't realize it. It looked like it was good. I thought it was good, but I guess not. All right. Yeah, so really nothing to really explain with him. You summon him out. End phase, you basically tribute him to the graveyard. You excavate 5 cards on top of your deck. You select 1 spell card, add to your hand. So this is one way you just prevent your spell cards from just being wasted by your mills. And just usually a lot of times you want to see him like going first. You go first. You try to set up a board. Sometimes you get monsters out without even normal summoning, and then you normal summon him out, and then pretty much just tribute to end phase, and then you just get your 5, and then hopefully you mill a spell. A little bit of a attack negation here. I do run the 3 Gardna, Necro Gardna. It is also an attack negation. I'm sorry, it is attack negation and also a extra dark for banishing if need be. But that is going to round up the monsters of the main deck. For the most part. Alright, so next up is my spells of the deck. I do run majority of spells and very little traps. So the first lightsworn spell of the deck is pretty obvious. It's going to be the charge of the lightsworn. Was it barrage or bridge? Brigade, sorry. Brigade. I remember that's how we used to say brigade. Oh, the brigade. Pretty much all this really does, if people don't know, you send 3 cards from top of your deck to the graveyard, and pretty much add a level 4 lower lightsworn monster from your deck to your hand. So usually, you mainly off that you try to search out your Luminous Summoner, and if you already have Luminous Summoner, you pretty much try to search out for a Raiden at that point. Next up is going to be Lightsworn Recharge, Solar Recharge. I like to say Lightsworn Recharge, Solar Recharge. This one, you discard a Lightsworn that's pretty much dead in your hand, like Felice or Beast. And, yeah, I mean, and then you draw 2, and then, and then you mill 2 from top of your deck. Next up is the Dragon support of the deck, Melody of Awakening Dragon. Like I said, I did have a way to search out my my dragons from my deck to my hand. With the Starliege guy, I can bring it back from my grave, and then also with this, I could basically search him from my deck to my hand. Of course, with either 3,000 attack or 25 defense or less, which is actually kind of cool. Next up, a very, very good card. It's very situational, and this is kind of like one of the only few situations you can actually use this card. Wingbeat of the Giant Dragon. Mainly just because you run Judgment Dragon. And for the simple fact that, because with Judgment Dragon, the only requirement is to have 4 Lightsworns in my graveyard with different names. You don't move those Lightsworns anywhere. They just literally stay in your graveyard. And you can summon this out, and if your opponent has back row, and you know for a fact that if you maybe try to use this effect, that they're probably going to use maybe back row negate or a monster negate or something, right? So, in a way, you can use this as bait. So you can activate Wingbeat Giant Dragon, recur this back to your hand, and then, of course, it's a cost. So you have to recur this back to your hand as cost, and then your opponent can decide they wanted to negate it or not. So you decide to negate, okay, cool, they waste the negate, you just pop their ship right back on the field, and then you pretty much just pay your 1,000, blow up the whole entire field. It's an option. It's a little bit of an option you guys have. Alright, next up, last spell of the deck is, of course, Monster Reincarnation. Just more recurrent. You're trying to get your big boys back to your hand as often as you can. You're trying to have multiple ways of bringing stuff back to your hand from the graveyard. Of course, Ultimate Time Lord of the Light Red Diablos. Stuff that basically is required to be in your hand to be able to be summoned. There are some monsters in this deck where that's not very necessary. You could just summon it right from the graveyard, which is actually phenomenal. But yeah, sometimes you run into that issue, man, where it's like, well, okay, now I have this guy in my grave. How the heck am I supposed to get him back? And this is one of the ways you can. All right, so getting to my very few traps, I've run 5 traps of the deck. I run 3 Needlebug's Nest, just for those extra mills. Yep, just for those extra mills. And I also run 2 Beckoning Light. So, if I do that, and pretty much all this does is you just send your hand to the graveyard, and you pretty much bring back from the graveyard the same number of cards you sent to the graveyard, but it would just be light monsters instead. So this is a big way to replenish your hand. If you're not having a good hand, you're bricking a lot, and all your main monsters are going to the graveyard, along with the spell cards that you would normally use to bring them back, or basically any monsters to bring them, any spell cards to bring them back, anything you would normally use to bring your stuff back. This is a way, if you happen to draw into this, great, that'd be phenomenal. You set this, you set yourself up. Now, of course, you have to set it's a trap, and ain't really nothing you can do about it, but you set this up, pretty much replenish your hand so you can get your combos off. There's really not much to say about that. So that's pretty much it for the main deck. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the main deck. Going into my extra deck now. I do run the one. I mean, it's a Crisis. I'm gonna say Crisis. I just run it just basically because it's mainly lightsworn. He does have a little bit of like a mill effect. You see here. Okay, yeah, so when he's playing something, you can send one from your deck to graveyard or top card. And then if they cards are cards, it's sent to the graveyard by card effect. He also sends. So basically, he chains off of like it requires. So like the only time he mills is basically upon summon, and then also when you activate a lightsworn effect to mill for end phase. So next up, I do run the full armor photon. Really nothing really to say there. Just for my level 8 ranking, right, pretty much. Usually does equip spells, but I don't run him for that reason. I just run because he's a 4K beater and he's also ranking. What's you call it? Utopia package, Utopia, and I also run the Lightning. More level 4s. I run 2 Gaga Cowboy for the pretty much the either I want to boost my attack, or I inflict the I inflict 1,000 to my opponent. Yeah, right. I'm so sorry. Hold on. No, I inflict 800, not 1,000. So, a little bit for back row hate. The Tornado Dragon, and then getting into lightsworn monsters. I mean, not lightsworns. I have more synchros. Sorry, I'm kind of rushing because I actually have. I actually need to wrap this up. I'm not trying to make this video too long. I do run 2 of the Draco Berserker. He does have a quick effect where you're putting activates their effect. You pretty much just banish the monster literally immediately. You just basically, hey, no, I don't want this. I don't want this popping off. Get rid of it. I do run the 1 Crimson, 1 Lightning Warrior, 2 of the Arc Lightsworn Michael, Leo, and Black Rose for a pretty much just a extra board wipe mechanic. If I can't get to my Judgment Dragon, this is your backup board wipe. Alright guys, I mean that's pretty much it for the deck. Try not to make it too long. Hopefully you guys can see this properly. Hopefully everything's in frame right. But yeah, with that said guys, I mean that's the deck. If you liked it, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Activate notification bells and set it to all so you can receive notice when I post videos like this or just videos in general. But with that said guys, I'm going to end the video here and stay casual.